Hello, 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 everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're joining from. If you're joining me for the first time, or if you are watching a replay of this session, my name is Ape Omede, and I'm your host for today's edition of SuccessConverge, just as usual. And as you will know, it's always a joy for me to be here. It's always a joy for me to show up and share some insights with you that I believe will help you in your journey towards excellence. So you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for joining me tonight. It's past 7 here in Australia. Actually past 9 in Nigeria. I don't know what else, whatever time it is that you're joining from anywhere else, but um, whatever time it is, I am highly appreciative of the fact that you're here with me today. So I'll just wait for a few more seconds and we'll kick off. So if you want, you can grab a cup of water, a cup of coffee or tea or juice, whatever it is, as we sit together on today's edition of SuccessConverge and roll through it. For me, I have just a cup of water. And water is good. I wanted to do something for me. Please take a second, take a minute to click on the share button and share tonight's session with anyone that you believe would benefit from today's session. And I'll appreciate it so much. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. We will be starting as soon as it's 10 past 7 p.m. here and 10 past 9 wherever you are. So I'll just give you one more minute to share tonight's session with anyone that you think would benefit from it. And then we'll roll. And as we wait for that, if you don't mind, you can maybe share with me where you're joining from as well. Where you're joining from. And I'll be able to see it from here. All right, it's 10 past 7 here. So let's roll. Thanks again for joining me. At any point in time, just let me know in the comment where you're joining from and how you feel as we progress with the rest of today's session. That will really, really be helpful to me because I want it to be as engaging as possible, as we always do here in Success Converge. Um, so you feel free to use the comment section to flow with me. If you have any question, you can leave it in the comment section as well. And excuse me, sorry, I have just a little bit of cough in the past few days. So in case if I just cough intermittently in the process of the conversation, but that wouldn't hinder what we want to share today. Thanks, Chinaya, for joining. Chinaya Gospel, thanks so much for joining. I can see you all the way from Nigeria. Yes, so you can use the comment section to ask any question that you have in the process of the conversation, or if you want to add to the conversation. I would really, really appreciate it if you can add to the conversation as well, because I prefer that it's interactive as much as possible so that every one of us can learn from each other. That would be much more valuable to me and to everyone who's joining us tonight. So, but thanks very much for joining. And again, please take a few minutes to share the stream with anyone that you feel would benefit from today's conversation. And I believe I'm loud and clear, and my slides, my screen are also clear on your end. So we'll just move on to today's conversation. So before I do that, this is Success Converge, and Success Converge is a signature program of Life Excel Resource Center, which is the vision that God has given to us to bear over many years now. And that vision is to create a platform to inspire people for excellence using the instrumentality of the Word of God. So we use a faith-based approach to everything we do, but we don't try to be religious about it at any point in time. Um, and so, but our vision is to, create a platform to inspire everyone to live a life of excellence. We believe that excellence is a possibility, that God has created every one of us to be able to, exhibit excellence in everything that we do. And we'll be running with this vision for a very long time now. And I really want to thank everyone who has been part of the vision over the past years and still supporting in one way or the other. And so one of the things we do in Life Excel is this program called Success Convert, which comes up once every month. We try to run it as often as we can, once every month, bring people together and share ideas on how to move from where we are to where God wants us to be, using experience, knowledge, ideas, and everything that is out there that God has given us an opportunity to come in contact with. So, for those who don't know, this is what we are all about, and I hope that you're joining the session tonight will meet your goal or your expectation for coming on the program. So once more, I want to say welcome and very excited and very glad to have you. So, if you've seen the advert for today's session, you would have seen or known that the title of today's session or the theme of today's session is the psychology of excellence. We want to talk about the psychology of excellence. Um, so, everywhere you look, it's not difficult to see people who are excelling, right? In your class, in your workplace, in your family, um, and in businesses, wherever it is that you engage in, if you look very carefully rather, you're going to see that there's someone who is always standing out. It's not difficult to pinpoint that person or fish out that particular person who is always standing out in that domain where you are operating. And sometimes perhaps it might even be you that is the one that is standing out from your class or from your group, or in your work, or even in your family. It might be the one that is that is standing out, that is different, that is always being picked out as being different and unique. Now, what you don't know or may know is that the people who stand out do not just do it magically. There is no magic to being a person of excellence. There is no abracadabra to becoming a person of excellence. The fact is this, that whenever you see someone that is standing out from the crowd, just know that there are underlying factors. Just know that there are a set of underlying factors that is making that happen for them. Have it at the back of your mind that when you see people or a person stand out from the crowd in whatever it is that they do, as a profession, as a work, or um, in everyday life, know that there's something that is behind that standing out. The factor or group of factors that is responsible for that is a kind of mindset and behavior that those people exhibit, possess, act on. And that is what psychology of excellence is all about. But before we go in deep into the conversation, it's good to kind of touch a little bit on what psychology is. And this is not my area of expertise, but I know that psychology has to do with the study of the mind and the behavior of people. What psychology tends to do or to achieve is to understand and explain the way we think, explain the way we feel, explain the way we behave through the study of different mental processes and behaviors that we possess or we undergo as an individual or as a group of people at every point in time. So when we talk about psychology, we're talking about mental processes that control our mindset and behaviors that eventually determine the kind of experience we have in our life. So there are mental behaviors that leads to mindset and there are mental factors that lead to mindset and behaviors that we exhibit that tend to lead to excellence, and that is what I call the psychology of excellence. People who studied, who have been studying, psychology in terms of human mind and behavior, have looked at top performance all over the world in different fields and in different sectors, in education or academics, in research and science, in music, in sports, in government, in arts, in whatever it is that you can think of. People have been studied all across board, all over the years by psychologists. And the study was to just find out what is it that is making these people stand out. Why are this set of people different in their sphere of operation, in their sphere of influence, and all that? And it's been concluded that every form of excellence in human beings has a connection to some set of factors, some set of mindset, some set of behavior that eventually leads to the experiences of excellence that those people are manifesting in their life. So the question is, the question we always ask ourselves is what enables a person to become great at what he or she does. So I was talking about, if you look around, you're going to find that there is someone who is excellent in your circle. And I said that person there's something that is just behind that person being a person of excellence. So the question is, what is that thing that enables the person to become a person of excellence? What allows a person to perform at the highest of their potential, at the highest of their capacity, at the highest of their ability? What is it that allows them? And the answer is very simple. Is the psychology that they go into those activities with, a collection of of factors that has to do with their mindset and their behavior. People who excel have a different kind of mindset. People who excel have a different kind of behavior. And so has led to what is called the psychology of excellence. And from it, there's what is called the wheel of excellence, which I want to introduce to you. Now, I want to talk about the wheel of excellence, which is an outcome of the psychology of excellence, which is the mindset and behavior that leads to excellence. Um, the wheel of excellence in itself is a collection of those factors, and there are 7 factors, 7 components that are related to personal excellence. And these are the factors that have continued to surface, to show up, to come up as the essence of excellence in all high performance. So when you talk about high performance in people, you're going to realize that these are the core things, the core factors that manifest in their life. 1, there is commitment. 2, there is belief. 3, there is focus. 4, there is positive image. There is mental readiness. There is distraction control. And there is constructive evaluation. And this is drawn from the work of a man that is called Terry Olick, who gave birth to the idea of the wheel of excellence. What you need to understand is that for you to achieve intentional excellence, to be a person of intentionality when it comes to excellence, you need to have all these factors in play in your life to be able to be that kind of person. Because every high performer you know or have heard of possesses a mindset or a behavior that is directly related to all of these elements, all of these factors. So to be a person of high performance, a person of excellence in doing all that you want to do, all this must be in place in your life in one degree or the other for you to be able to be a person of excellence. So, commitment, belief, full focus, positive image or images, mental readiness, distraction control, constructive evaluation. All these come together to play a role in your ability to become a person of excellence. So if your mindset and your behavior revolve, around all these seven factors, all these seven elements, it is very, very impossible that you'll not be a person of excellence. So for the rest of the conversation, we're going to dive into each of them and try to explore them a little bit, better, and how we can apply them to our individual life, or as a group, to become the kind of person we have been created to be. So the first element, like we see in that wheel of excellence, is the element of commitment. The element of commitment. We live in a world where people find it very, very difficult to commit, not just to commit to other people, but even to commit to their own dreams, to commit to their own passion, to commit to their own vision. And that is the reason why there is no much excellence. There are only few people who end up achieving excellence, because those people are the people who end up committing to themselves or to people around them about a particular thing or the other that leads to excellence. So when we talk about excellence, it's simply defined as an act of dedicating yourself to a goal or a promise and following it through to the end, despite any obstacle that may arise along the way. All right, so you're not committed until you follow your promise to the letter, irrespective of all or any challenge or any obstacle that may come your way. So it needs someone who has developed the spirit of persistence, someone who is reliable, and someone who is unwavering in their pursuit of their goal or promise. It requires discipline, it requires perseverance, and a strong sense of responsibility to whatever it is that you've committed yourself to. Commitment is very, very important, because what you cannot commit to, just take it that you'll not be able to achieve or excel in. So, what you cannot commit to, you cannot achieve, and you cannot excel in it. When I run some of my mentoring program, one of the things I look at is how committed students are to the goal of the program. Say, for example, the scholarship mentoring program, which is starting very soon. I look at commitment. I want to see how much are the students able to stay true to their promise. Because when you're filling the form or applying to join the program, you tell me a lot of things about yourself. I ask certain questions that kind of gauge your level of commitment. And so students respond. And at the end of the day, I look out for those things. Coming to sessions, carrying out the tasks and responsibilities, applying to programs, and so on and so forth. Some of these are the things that I look out for in terms of commitment. And before they join, I make sure that they respond to those questions and say that indeed that they're going to be able to commit to those activities, to those responsibilities. But you're going to find out that along the way, they drop off. And one thing I've realized is that those students who remain committed to the goal of succeeding in the program are the ones that eventually end up, succeeding in their dreams of maybe getting a scholarship or traveling abroad and so on and so forth. So the element of commitment is critical in your drive for excellence, in your pursuit of excellence, or any goal or achievement that you've set for yourself. Without that dedication to yourself and following it through to the end, it is merely impossible to become the person of excellence that you want to be, that you dream of, that you're dreaming of becoming. So, what can you be committed to? You can be committed to being an excellent person, to excel in whatever it is that you're doing. You can be committed to saying that, okay, this is how every other person is doing this, but I'm going to do it in a different way. You can be committed to telling yourself that you will do your best, the best that you can, to be the best that you've been created to be. You can tell yourself that you would be committed to do everything required, no matter what it will take, to develop the mental, the physical, and technical skills that are needed for you to be the kind of person that you need to be. You can be committed to setting clear goals and then relentlessly pursuing those goals to the end. You can be committed to, persist in the face of obstacles. You can tell yourself, all right, I know that this is not going to be easy, but no matter what comes my way, I'm going to keep pushing and do everything you can to give everything you have of yourself to that particular goal or to that particular vision. So the question I have for you is this: are you a committed person? Are you a committed person? How committed are you to your dreams? How committed are you to your goals? How committed are you to your vision? How committed are you to your purpose? When the year started, January 2024, I'm sure you made some commitment to yourself. I want to think about some of the examples of those promises you made to yourself and ask yourself, how did you do with it? How did you do with it? And so this is not to it's not to make you feel bad. It's just to challenge you to know that you can't be dreaming to be someone else, and your action, your attitude, your state of mind, your behavior is different from the person you want to be. All right. So you can't be saying, I want to be better in a particular skill, in a particular activity, and then your action or your mindset is different. And we are pretty much, guilty of this in many ways. But the question is, are you a committed person? Is there anything that you are really, really committed to? Can you trust yourself to deliver to yourself what you say you will do? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. Now, how do you know that you are committed? Because a lot of people will say it's easy to say you are committed, to becoming the kind of person you want to be. It's very easy to say that. But how do you know that you're truly committed? The only way you know that you're truly committed to anything is how you prioritize and invest your time and your resources. That is the only way you know that you're committed to something. So I want to think back to again those things you made commitment to at the beginning of the year. Now, think about how you've prioritized your time over about those things or around those things. Think about how you've prioritized your investment and the resources you have around those things. Just take a time to think about it. Have you been committed to yourself to fulfilling all the promises you made to yourself? I can see my friend's comment on YouTube saying, like I always say to myself, fulfill the commitment you made to yourself. And this is the fact. That's the truth. If you cannot fulfill the commitment you made to yourself, there is no way you can fulfill the commitment you're going to make to people out there. And being a person of excellence is not just about you, it's about what you're giving out there. So if you're making commitment to show up better, if you're making commitment to be a better whatever it is that you want to be to the people out there, but the little commitment you've made to yourself you've not been able to fulfill, then it's very practically impossible to do that. So if you're committed to a goal or a vision or to becoming a person of excellence, you will find yourself consistently prioritizing and investing time and effort and resources into that particular goal because you are indeed committed to that goal or to that vision. So when you're committed to a goal, to a vision, it shows in how you consistently prioritize that goal, invest time, invest resources into that particular goal or that particular vision until it materializes. So I ask you again, are you committed to yourself or to the people around you? You know, it's very easy to say you're committed to a goal until you face a roadblock. And that's the fact. It's very easy to make promises until you come across a challenge to achieving that goal. But what happens is that people with good psychology of excellence, people who practice the elements, these essential elements of excellence, do not they do not waver away from their commitment, no matter how challenging it is for them to fulfill their commitment. So when we talk about commitment, it simply means staying loyal to what you said you're going to do long after the mood you said it has left you. And this is very, very important. When we're making commitment to excel, when we're making a commitment to, when you go to the university and you say you're going to make a first class, it's because you've not been to the first class and a lecturer tells you nobody makes an A in my subject. It's because you don't realize that the learning process is more difficult than you have thought it would be, or you had thought it would be. So before that time, so there's a time of making promises to the challenges and then overcoming the challenges to becoming to fulfilling the promises or the commitment that you've made to yourself. So in between those, there is a mood that we are always in. We're in a good mood. Happens with marriages as well. Typical example that I can even use is marriages. When you meet a young guy, handsome, rich, you feel that you can commit to him because everything is looking good, everything is looking wonderful. You meet a young lady, she's beautiful and all that. You think you commit to her because everything is wonderful and everything is beautiful. There is a mood you are in. But when you now eventually get into the relationship and begin to discover that, okay, there are things that I cannot cope with, there are things I cannot handle. Excuse me. There are things I cannot tolerate. Commitment means then that staying loyal to whatever it is you've promised to do, you've said you're going to do, when you're feeling that, that good, after that has left you, is what commitment is all about. When the good feeling have left you, when you're no longer feeling like doing it, when you suddenly discover that, okay, this is more difficult than I actually thought, and you still continued and you still remain loyal to that mission, that vision, that goal, that objective. That's what commitment is. So if you're someone who is revolving around mood, like your commitment is changing as your mood is changing, you only say yes to difficulties when it feels all good, and when it feels bad, you don't want to continue with the challenge. Then you're not ready to be an excellent person, because commitment requires you to stay loyal to whatever it is you said you're going to do when you felt good about it and that feeling had left you. Right. So moving to the second element. The second element is the element of belief or self-confidence. The element of belief or self-confidence. And this is very, very important. There is nobody who has become a high performer, who has achieved a level of excellence that didn't have this particular factor of excellence, element of excellence, which is what self-confidence or belief. So when we define belief, it simply means the acceptance that something is true or real, which is difficult for people because they don't have the faith, they don't have the personal conviction, because your belief is based on convictions. And so when you don't have convictions, it's very difficult to believe in anything. But when you come to a point where you have personal convictions about certain things, accepting those things to be real, even when it is not to be true and real, even when it is not materialized yet, becomes easy for you. So when we talk about belief, it is what accepting that something is true or real. So what are you accepting about yourself? What are you believing about yourself that is true? On the other hand, when we talk about self-confidence, self-confidence is then a belief in your own abilities, in your own qualities, and your own judgment. A feeling of assurance and trust in yourself, which allows you to be able to face challenges, allows you to be able to take risks, allows you to be able to pursue your goals with a sense of personal self-empowerment or personal empowerment. Self-confidence, very important in your own abilities. There is nothing I've gone into that I've not ever gone that I've not gone in with this self-confidence that I was going to succeed in it. I was going to achieve my goal. Everything I've gone into. In fact, my life was transformed the moment I came to a level of self-confidence. And I've written about it a few times, and I've also spoken about it in some other sessions like this. How I've moved from someone who was very shy, very timid. In fact, many years ago, if you had told me I'll be able to come live like this and be talking to you in the way I'm doing, I don't think I would have believed it, because I remember that when I was in primary two, I couldn't raise it, not just even primary two, all through all through my years in school, up until the secondary school to the university. Was just in the university that I started having encounters that started helping me to build my self confidence. But a lot of people are not confident, don't believe that they have what it takes to be the person that God has created them to be. They think that there is something more they need. When you're self confident, it doesn't matter how little what it is you have. You believe in that little thing that you have, and then it multiplies. But people who lack confidence, it doesn't matter how big what they have is, they will still feel that it is not enough to take them to where they want to be. So self confidence is very vital if you're going to be a person of excellence. So you need belief or confidence in your own potentials. You need belief or confidence in the meaningfulness of your pursuit. So what you're pursuing, is it valuable? Is it really, really meaningful? Is it really purposeful? Is it important? And until you have that belief that it is okay for me to be an excellent person, until you have that confidence that it is okay for me to be the best in what I'm doing, knowing that if I'm the best in what I'm doing, I'm going to shine the light for others, show them the way, let them know that it's possible. I want to be the one to, I want to be the first one to cross the river and then let others follow. So you need belief and confidence in your capacity to achieve your goals. It's critical. You don't go into a competition believing that you're going to fail. I mean, you don't go into a competition believing that you're not going to win. It doesn't make sense. I don't know how that makes sense to you. It doesn't make sense to me that I'm going into a competition, but I'm going into it believing that I'm going to fail. No. So every time I go into a competition, I beat my chest and tell myself I'm going to be one of the successful ones in this particular competition, in this particular program. Applying for a job, I believe I'm going to be one of those who will get the job. Going for something, whatever it is, I just put my whole belief into it. That my abilities are enough, my qualities are enough, and that my judgment is right. A feeling of assurance that all will be well. Very, very important. Now, You may occasionally perform well without fully believing in yourself. And that is what we see with average people. People who are average, they are performing well. They don't need to believe in themselves. They don't need to put extra effort. They don't need to do anything else. But if you truly want to excel to your full potential, your sense of trust in yourself must reach a higher level. So if you just want to live a normal life, casual life, be like every other person, it's okay. You can do that. I mean, you can do that, and there's nothing. It's up to you. But if you want to make a mark, if you want to leave an impact, if you want to transform lives, if you want to cause a change, if you want to be someone that will be remembered for something good in your day and your time and after you are gone, then your sense of trust in yourself must reach a high level. If you don't have it, you could occasionally perform well, but you'll never be fully manifesting your potential. And I have this one good thing about belief and excellence is that it's a two-way thing. So the more you believe in yourself, the higher level of excellence you will achieve. The more you doubt yourself, the lower level of excellence that you will experience. And I notice it with myself that when I put my hand into something and it works because I believe in myself and in my abilities and in what I can do, it works. And then it makes me want to try something higher or something better than that. And that's how I've always operated personally. I try as much as possible to believe in myself. And whenever I succeed as a result of that belief, it pushes my self-confidence higher. And that automatically means I'm able to pursue a higher level of excellence. So what happens is that when we have belief in ourselves, when we have self-confidence, it leads to high level of excellence. And that higher level of excellence leads to a high level of self belief and self confidence. And then the cycle continues. The cycle continues. So you cannot get into the cycle of higher level of excellence, which leads to higher level of self belief and self confidence if you don't start from that first spot of believing that your abilities are good enough, your qualities are good enough, and what you have to give is what they try is valuable. So this two-way dimension of belief and excellence is very, very important in helping us to continue to grow in our pursuit or in our goal. Knowing that if I believe in myself and what I can do, what God has given to me as gifts and talents and potentials and put it to use, then I'm able to achieve a higher level of excellence. And as I achieve that higher level of excellence, more doors are opened up to me because doubts are broken. As doubts are broken, I'm achieving results. And as I'm achieving results, I am beginning to believe, I continue to believe that it is possible to do more than I'm currently doing. So self belief is very, very critical. And to build self belief or self confidence, a few things need to be in place. First, you need to, if you can find someone, that is one of the most important things that I've experienced or noticed with myself. Immediately I found someone who believed in me, it unlocked the door to my self confidence and self belief. The challenge that many people have is that they've not been able to build up relationship with people who believe in them. Rather, they build relationship with people who pull them down. No high performer, just look at it now. There is no high performer you can think of that in his or her circle of friendship are people who pull them down. When you look at the people they surround themselves with, they are always people who support them to grow, always people who support them to be their best, always people who encourage them. And until you have someone who believes in you, you're going to still be far away from self belief and self confidence. So, the first step to belief or self confidence is connecting with people who believe in you, connecting with people who believe in your capacity, who believe in your ability, people who don't talk you down. Now, the second thing is when you've connected with these people, you need to start thinking that maybe you can. When one of my first mentors told me, read the article I sent to him for a university in departmental press board during my university days, read it and turned to me and said, "Oh, how come you can write so well? And we are looking for people to write for the press board." Immediately I heard that, something happened in my brain. And I told myself, maybe I can actually write. I remember when I was applying for scholarships many years ago, I kept applying to so many places and I wasn't getting anything until one day I got a reply from someone in the UK. So I applied to a school in the UK and this lady replied. And the simple thing she said was this: your CV, your documents are very impressive. Your documents are very impressive. I believe. Unfortunately, I don't have money to take you on, but I believe that someday soon you're going to get something. I believe that someday soon you're going to get something. You're going to get a position. Immediately I heard that, something happened to my mind. I knew that I was getting close to my goal. I knew I was getting close to my dream, to my vision. I started thinking that maybe I could actually get a position. Now, after thinking that I actually can get a position, the next thing I did was to continue to act on it. So I didn't stop applying. I didn't stop trying because someone has believed in me. Someone has challenged my mindset. Someone has told me that I am good enough for this thing. And I'm beginning to believe it myself that I'm good enough for it. The next thing I did was acting as if I can. I believed and I acted as if I can. At the point I knew, in fact, I got to a point where I knew that it was just a matter of time. You know how you're so confident in what you are doing that you know that someday this thing will happen. Coming to that point, in fact, it demolishes every form of limitation that you can ever think of in your mind. If you can get to that point in life, then nothing will ever be able to hold you back. Just knowing that you can, and then trusting that you will. So, to move from self doubt to a place of self belief and self confidence, one, someone needs to believe in you. Two, you need to think that you can. Three, you need to act as if you can. Four, you need to believe that you can. Five, you need to know that you can. And number six, you need to trust that you will do the thing that needs to be done to get to where you want to be, to become who you want to become. Self confidence is very, very important. Let me also tell you a story as I round up this particular point. First time I saw what is called the Youth Program Competition by the World Poetry Science Association, I went to a professor. I saw it and I wanted to, I made up my mind to apply to it. So I did all my articles, everything, prepared all my application. And I went to this professor and I said, I've seen this opportunity. I feel confident about it. And I want to apply. And he looked through everything, looked at the competition of at the advert for the competition, and then looked at what I've submitted to him. And he told me there and there, he said, "I don't think you're going to get it. I don't think you're going to get it." But anyway, he signed for, because it was a letter of recommendation I was asking for him for that particular competition. So he eventually signed, the recommendation letter, and then he gave to me. Ordinarily, I could have just said, "Oh, okay. If the professor knows that I can't get this, then there's no need for me to try it. It's just okay for me to just give up." But you know what? I did not give up. I told myself, whether I'm going to get this or not, that will not stop me from submitting. I need to, first of all, submit it and then wait for the outcome. And that was exactly what I did. So sometimes in your step to becoming self-confidence and trying to believe in yourself, you might even face this kind of challenge, this kind of discouragement. But if you're truly someone who is driven by your goal, driven by your vision and the person you want to become, there is no kind of discouragement that will stop you from believing in yourself. I went ahead and submitted, and truly it came back negative. You know what I did? I told myself that I was going to apply for it again when it opens up again. And that was what I did. And the second time I tried it, it clicked. So I had self-confidence. I didn't allow the discouragement, the failure, and everything to stop me from moving forward. So many of us give up too easily. We give up too easily. We doubt ourselves too easily. We lose our self-confidence too easily because something didn't work, or because someone said we cannot do it, or because someone lost trust in us, and so on and so forth. No, all those things are commonalities of the experiences that high performance encounter every day, that intentionally excellent people encounter every day, but still never give up. So if you want to be a person of excellence, you must learn to build self-belief and self-confidence to a point where nobody or nothing can discourage you from believing in your ability, your capacity, and your potential. The third point, or the third element, is the element of full focus. The element of full focus. There is a lot of distraction in our world today. Lots of distraction. You will agree with me. Sometimes even I go on Facebook, and before I know it, I've spent 30 minutes. Maybe I go with something in mind. Probably go to check out a particular page that I enjoy or learn from, a particular profile that I learn and enjoy from, or on Instagram or on YouTube. I just want to learn something from this particular person or a particular website. Then I log in. Before you know it, a notification comes. And then I click on it. And then I start moving away. Next thing, I've spent 30 minutes, 45 minutes away from the original intention of going on Facebook, of going on Instagram, of going on YouTube. And I know it's the same with you. You might not agree. You might pretend that if it doesn't happen to you, but I know it's the same with you. I know it's the same with a lot of every single one of us. Only few people have the level of focus that brings them back from that kind of distraction or deviation. So we live in a very distracting world. We live in a very distracting world. When we go on social media, we see a lot of things that are happening and what people are doing. And that comes with the danger of now second guessing ourselves and questioning if we are truly doing what we're supposed to do, what we're meant to do. Because we see people showing up in different ways, manifesting their own glory, manifesting their own impact, manifesting their own potential and all that. Before we know, we find ourselves getting taken away, moved away from a situation where we need to focus. But as an individual who wants to be a high performer, who wants to be an excellent person, you cannot do it without at least having some level of focus. There should be a time in your life when you say, okay, okay, enough of all this distraction. Enough is enough. I just want to focus on finishing this thing I want to read on this profile or on this page, or on finishing this video or this podcast that I'm listening to. You must get to that point. If you can't get to that point where you regain your focus back after being distracted, then it's a big problem. And we're going to talk about distraction, further down the line as we proceed. So focusing is the single most important mental skill associated with performance excellence. If you are looking for a way to really, really excel in whatever it is that you're doing, the single most important mental skill you need is the skill of full focus, being able to focus. Very, very important. To focus means developing the ability to concentrate totally on what you're doing, totally on what you're seeing, totally on what you're reading, what you're hearing, what you're learning, what you're observing, what you're experiencing, while engaging in that activity. The ability to totally concentrate on doing what you're doing, seeing, reading, learning, feeling, observing, and so on and so forth, while engaging in that particular activity. And all other elements that we're talking about, remember when we started, we talked about we showed the wheel of excellence, and there's 7 of them, and full focus is one of them. Elements on belief, which have commitment, which started with, element of belief, which we've just finished before we started talking about focus, element of positive images, which we're going to talking about, which we're going to be talking about, element of mental readiness, distraction control, and constructive evaluation, all are dependent on our ability to focus. You cannot be committed if you're not focused. You cannot build self-confidence if you're not focused. You cannot build positive images in your mind if you're not focused. You cannot have mental readiness unless you're focused. You will always be distracted, of course, if you're not focused. And there's no way you can have time to reflect on your journey if you're not focused on something. So focus is very, very critical. And there's what I call intelligent focus. Because usually our focus is thwarted when there is a deviation from our goal and our target. But to be a person of excellence, you need to learn how to do what is called intelligent focus, which is not dwelling on what has gone wrong. Because as you're targeting your goal, as you're going towards something, you're trying to achieve something, that thing, there is no guarantee you're going to hit the target. There could be a deviation from that target. So what people do is that when there is a deviation from that target, they spend the rest of their time, the rest of their resources and energy on crying and wallowing and worrying about what didn't work. Complain about what didn't work. So their focus is moved away from what the original target was to the deviation, the mishap, the accident, the challenge, the trouble that came on the way to their target. So they move away from that goal, then they focus on the problem. So, but intentionally excellent people do not worry about their failures. Instead, they focus on what is next to be done, what is next in line to be done. Just give me a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. All right. Just give me a minute to get something sorted here. Actually, this should move here. Yep. All right. So I was talking about intelligent focus, the fact that certain people get easily distracted from the goal because of the challenges they face on the way. So what they do is they deviate their focus from the main goal and then they start concentrating their focus on what the challenge is on the way. But intentionally excellent people do not do that. They don't worry about their failures. Instead, they focus on the next thing in line that needs to be done. So Dennis Whitley says, don't dwell on what went wrong. Instead, focus on what to be done next. Spend your energy, spend your time, spend your resources moving forward towards finding the answer. And this is one thing that makes the difference between people who eventually become excellent people who do not. Being focused does not mean that you're not going to miss the target. That is very, very critical and instructive. That being focused does not mean that you're not going to miss the target. It simply means you will hit the target more, than you will miss at the end of the day. Okay, so you're going to miss the target, but that is not the end of the story. If you keep your focus and continue moving, you're going to hit the target more times than you're going to miss it eventually. And so you need to have that at the back of your mind. The fourth element is the element of positive images. And I want to ask you, what are you visualizing for your future? What are you visualizing for your future? What are you visualizing for your future? What mental images are you creating? So, to put it in a very simple term, what do you see? What do you see? With the economy all over the world at the moment, at this stage, a lot of people have stopped seeing. They've stopped seeing, they've stopped visualizing. But in the midst of all the things that you're experiencing, believe it or not, people are visualizing, seeing their future, creating positive images, and having those images come to pass. I'm telling you the truth. So if I go back again to my story with this professor, I told you, he told me I was not going to succeed in that particular application. And I said, okay, no problem. And I went on and applied, and it didn't work. You know what I did for the rest of this is for a competition that happens every 4 years. Do you know what I did for the next 4 years? I kept dreaming. I kept believing. I kept praying. I kept seeing myself going for that competition because I believed so much I was going to win no matter what. No matter what, I said, this time I will win a spot in this program. I will win a spot in this program. I kept believing it. And one thing with having positive mental images is that it helps you to align your action. It helps you to align your activities, helps you to align your behaviors towards what you see. So when you see people who behave anyhow, who live anyhow, it's because they don't have any image, any mental image of where they want to be. The whole idea of their essence, the whole idea of their living and existence is here and now, today, right now. Let's just do it now and go. And so they act in that manner. But I learned that if I can focus, create images of what I want, it will help to drive my action. And that was what happened. So as I was dreaming, visualizing that I was going to be part of those that will be selected for this program in the next 4 years, it kind of fashioned my action. So everything I was doing was towards being or becoming the person that would be selected for that particular program. So my question is, what do you see? What are you seeing? You cannot be seeing mediocrity and hope to manifest excellence. It's not possible. You cannot be seeing mediocrity and hope that you will succeed. No, it's not. It's not possible. It's not possible. And I can tell you that if you can visualize, you can create positive images of who you want to be, what you want to be, it will happen. Because the most powerful entity in your life is your mind and what can come out from it. If you're a person of faith, you know what the Bible says that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can think and imagine. What you can think and imagine, that God is able to do that. That is a typical example of what it means to create positive images for your future, for the kind of person you want to be. Nobody arrives where they are by magic. If you see someone who has arrived in a very beautiful and wonderful place in their life, is as a result of the positive images that they've built over the years and worked towards it, that is manifesting. If you see people who are living in a place or situation, circumstance that it's not what they expected, there could be many factors contributing to that, quite all right. But one of them is unarguably the lack of them being able to create positive images for themselves. They only created negative images or no images at all. They were just living by the day. People who succeed at exponential level go into the game of seeing first what they want to achieve before achieving it. People who succeed at exponential level go into the game of seeing first what they want to achieve before achieving it. So you need to learn to harness the power of visualization. The power of visualization refers to the practice of creating these positive mental images or scenarios in order to achieve a desired goal. That's why I so much, you know, um, commend people who do vision board at the beginning of each year or at a particular point in time in their life, and have done it before. There have been times when I've tried vision board. My visualization is not necessarily with vision board, but there are people who are intentional about it, and they use what they call vision board, and they draw what they want to see. They click pictures of where they want to be in the next 5 years, the kind of house they want to live, the kind of amount of money they want to make, the position they want to occupy in their workplace, the kind of person they want to marry, and all kind of things in a vision board. That's what the power of visualization does for you. So by having this power of visualization, you're able to um, focus your energy and attention on what is most important to help you to achieve your goal. And like I said, it's based on the idea that your mind is a powerful tool that can influence your actions and your behavior. So you need to learn to harness the power of visualization, because positive images will help you to dream big. It will help you to go after your dreams, help you to pursue your specific targets or goals that you've set for yourself. It will help you to prepare yourself to act and react in ways that is is congruent to whatever it is that is your dream, whatever it is that is your vision. It helps you to create positive feelings about yourself and your capacity, to make corrections where it is possible, and to, most importantly, remain positive and confident in your pursuit, in your dream, in your goal. If you can have mental picture of where you want to be, mental picture of where you want to live, the kind of job you want to be in. Growing up, I wanted to be in research and academics. I had distractions. I was sharing some of my stories, with my wife, a few days ago, how my parents, especially my dad, wanted me to be something else, something different. And I knew deep down that this was what I wanted to be. But as at that time, I wasn't there. I wasn't there. And so there were lots of forces, challenges trying to push me away from that focus. But I kept it positive. I kept imagining the day I will stand before students in the university and teach, stand before other scientists and present my research, win grants, travel, do amazing research. And those were the things I was thinking of. Those were the things I was imagining, even though I was in a situation where it didn't look like I was going to get to that level. But because I had those images, I remained positive and kept my confidence. And today, for those who are in my circle, that the rest is history. I'm living in my dream career path, doing the things I love, have time to come online and share as much as I can, because I kept true to the images that God was creating in my heart. So if you don't know what positive images can do for you, these are some of the examples that can that or examples of what positive images can do for you. So I wanted to leave today's session with a resolution that I'm going to clean away from my mind all the negative images I've had, all the disbeliefs, all the doubts, all the impossibilities that have clouded my mind. I'm going to change them to positive images that empower my dreams and help me to go after them, that help me to desire to follow the right course of action, to do the right thing, give me the right feeling that I need to go ahead and take action, to remain positive and continue to build my confidence. Right. The fifth element is the element of mental readiness. And this is also very, very important. There is no guarantee. See, all these things we've been saying about excellence, about success, there is no guarantee that you're going to succeed. There's no guarantee. There's nothing out there that tells you that at one shot you're going to hit the target. No, there's no guarantee that your first try will work. I work with I work a lot with young people in the area of study abroad and scholarship. and other areas as well. Like mentor a lot of young people here and there. But I like to always give example with the scholarship guys because that's the larger number of people that I work with. My experience with working with those people, young people in that space, has shown that one major reason why people fail to accomplish their goal is because they lack mental readiness. Because all the time I see young people give up easily, just by encountering just one failure. Why? Because they lack mental readiness. When you see people give up in the face of easy challenges, I mean, if you're giving up just because somebody rejected, oh my God, I've seen people who just by putting one application and it didn't go through and they gave up. On the other hand, I've seen people do 20 applications, 50 applications, 100 applications before they eventually got there. Because their level of mental readiness is different. For the one who's tried once and gave up, no mental readiness at all, lacks complete mental readiness. But the one who's been applying and applying and applying and applying and eventually got after the 10th or the 20th or the 50th try is the one who has mental readiness to succeed. And that is what differentiates the people who become excellent and people who end up not becoming excellent. Mental readiness to face anything. So when we talk about mental readiness, it is the state of being mentally prepared and equipped to handle challenges, obstacles, and difficult situations. Mentally ready, equipped to handle challenges, obstacles, and difficult situations. It involves positive mindset, strong sense of determination, resilience, ability to focus, and to stay composed in a stressful situation because failure can be stressful, rejection can be stressful, and many people are not prepared for it. Many people are not prepared for failure. So when you come to Scratch Mastery Academy, for example, one of the things we teach is this. You need to have a growth mindset and not a fixed one. Fixed one doesn't give room for challenge, doesn't give room for growth, doesn't give room for you don't want to be troubled, you don't want to be stressed, you just want everything to work as you go. But life, you agree with me that life is not like that. The world we live in doesn't work that way. You must face challenges, and so if you must succeed, you must have a mental readiness that will keep you going in the midst of any kind of challenge, in the midst of any kind of failure. Without it, you're going nowhere. So, how mentally ready are you? How mentally ready are you? You want to be the best, right? You want to, manifest excellence. You want to do what any other person cannot do. You want to be the last man standing, the last woman standing. You want your name to be in the list. How mentally ready are you? To test your readiness, I want you to ask yourself these three questions. Very simple question. What is my resilience threshold to failure and rejection? Because if you cannot take failure, if you cannot take rejection, you're not mentally ready for what is coming your way. Because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen on a platter of gold. Do I stop trying after the failing at the first attempt? Who do I blame or hold responsible when things don't work? I want you to think about those questions and try to answer them. Because if you can answer them, that will show you your level or degree of mental readiness that you possess or you have at this time. And if you discover that you're on the negative side of mental readiness, you need to really, 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 really start working on your mindset. You need to look for a mindset coach. You need to look for a positivity coach. You need to look for um, maybe a resilience coach, someone who can teach you how to be resilient, and so on and so forth. Because if your threshold for failure, resilience threshold for failure and rejection is low, then there's a trouble. If you're always giving up at the first attempt, you might think that there are no people like that, but I can tell you I've worked with a lot of people who are like that. Immediately they try the first time and it doesn't work, that's the end. You don't see them again, they don't get back to you again. And then others is for them to be blaming every other person other than themselves. If you're that kind of person, when things go wrong and it's every other person that is wrong and you are right, you're not ready for excellence, you're not ready for success. Intentionally excellent people prepare themselves mentally to take the blame because it helped them to do what? A course correction on whatever it is that has gone wrong in the process of trying to reach their goals. Sixth element is the element of distraction. And I want to ask you this question. When you are faced with two competing options or priorities, because it will happen, do you know how to choose what is the most important and focus on that? If you're faced with two options, two priorities, do you know how to choose what is most important at any point in time? Now, this is kind of related to focus, but it's a little bit different. Focus is keeping your eyes on the goal, keeping your eyes on the vision, keeping your eyes on the purpose. Distraction control is your ability to do that, your ability to keep the focus, your ability to take away distraction so that you can focus on what is most important. For some people, they just get easily distracted when priorities or when competing options are set before them. And that is because they lack what is called value. And I'm going to talk about it shortly. So, distraction control involves strategies and techniques used to minimize or eliminate distraction in order to focus on a particular task or a particular goal. And this can, be really, really important if you're someone who is easily distracted or who find it very, very difficult to focus on anything. Learning to control all kind of distraction around you is very critical so that you can focus on what is most important. And when we talk about distraction, there are external distractions that come from our environment, like things we see on social media, like I mentioned, things we hear on social media, what our friends and our families, family members tell us or do to us, how others treat us. All these are external factors, and they can serve as a point of distraction or source of um, distraction from what we want to achieve and what we want to do. So we need to be careful about the sources of what come. I mean, what is it that comes into our mind, into our heart? Very important. But even much more, you know, dangerous than the external is the internal source of distraction, the ones that arise from your own thinking, arise from your own expectation. For example, when you allow the external distraction to eventually now reach you mentally. So when people say you are you are dull or you're a fool, you allow it to reach you mentally, and you begin to believe it. That now becomes an internal distraction, to your vision, to your goal, to where you want to go. When people say you're not able to do it, you believe it, and then you now start self-sabotaging yourself, believing less of yourself and your ability. Sometimes it's because you didn't meet your expectation. You set goals or targets for yourself, and you end up not meeting them, and then you go about defining yourself based on those failed expectations. It could be a source of distraction for for you from reaching your goal and becoming the kind of person that you want to be. So people who have clear values and self-worth are able to control the distraction better than people who don't have clear values. And by so doing, they can focus on what is most important to them. So to control any form of distraction that you're facing in relation to where you're going, whether it is external distraction from people around you and what you see, what you hear, or whether they are internal distraction from the way you feel about what people tell you or what you tell yourself or how you define yourself because some things didn't work. To be able to overcome any of those things, you need to have clear values. Clear values. Clear values. If you have clear values, they will amplify your capacity to be able to control any form of distraction. So people who know who they are don't get distracted by anything else. But don't get distracted by what doesn't relate to whatever it is that their focus is on. And that's the fact. People who know what they are after, what is important to them. There's nothing you will do in this world to distract them. Because if you know what is important to you, at any given time, you will be able to give your attention to it. And your values, when we talk about values, we're talking about those things that are most important to you at a particular given time. And to know what is most important to you at a particular given time, you must apply, uh, you must be able to apply, um, to know what is most important to you, they must align with your values. Apply to align with your values at any point in time. So you have competing distraction or competing priorities. To know which one is most important, it must first of all align to your value, and your value is what is most important to you. So when your values are clear, the choice you make is easier. What to focus on becomes easier. What to pursue, what to follow becomes easier because you know clearly what is most important to you. So the secret to controlling distraction from where you want to go, who you want to be, the goals you set for yourself, what you want to achieve, is by first of all clarifying your values. And I've done a session on values clarification, maybe 2 years ago or something like that. So if you maybe go to my Facebook page or YouTube channel, you should be able to find that video on values clarification where I dealt with how to create values that are important to you. Because having values that are important to you is very critical in you being able to control distractions. Then the last but not the least of the elements in the wheel of excellence or in the psychology of excellence is constructive evaluation. Many of us don't find it funny to sit back and tell ourselves, oh, I actually messed up. No, we don't do it. Instead, we look for excuses for the things that we screwed up. We blame other people. But excellence requires you to develop a process for personal, evaluation at every point in time. And not just evaluating yourself, but also being able to act on whatever comes out of that evaluation. Whether you like it or not, you will screw up at one time or the other. We all do. You will screw up. You make mistakes. You'll not be able to follow through a particular course to the end. Some things might happen. And for so many people, they'll wait until someone calls their attention to it. They'll wait until someone calls their attention to it. But for you to excel in anything, it is very, very important that you identify as closely as possible where you screwed up and then work on it to make sure that it doesn't happen again. To excel, you must, as much as possible, find out where you're screwing up. Are you screwing up in the use of your time? You're screwing up in the use of your energy? Are you screwing up in the use of your money, finances? Are you screwing up in the use of relationships, your network? Are you screwing up in the use of opportunities? Someone will introduce you to an opportunity and you mess it up. Where are you screwing up? Where exactly? The ability to constructively evaluate your life with all this and tell yourself the truth. I think I'm spending too much money on shopping. I think I'm spending too much money on, clothing. I think I'm spending too much money on movies, going to the cinema. I think I'm spending too much money on travels. Excuse me. And again, there's nothing wrong with all these things. It is to the extent to which they are distracting you from fulfilling your goal and objective in life that they become wrong. The extent to which all of them distract you from reaching where you want to go is when they become wrong. But the ability to sit down and ask yourself, okay, I think it's time to put a stop to this and that and focus on this is very, very critical in your journey to becoming a person of excellence. Is a mental position and behavior that all high performers possess, all excellent people possess. The ability, mental position, the capacity to sit down and assess themselves and say, this thing, I need to have a look at it and ask myself, is it working? If it's not working, why is it not working? What are the lessons to learn from it? And they do it without judging themselves. That you're doing constructive evaluation does not mean you should judge yourself, and put yourself down. No. But again, remember, it has to do what? It has to, it depends on your level of self confidence. It depends on your level of self belief. People who are self confident can tell themselves everything. They can call themselves all kinds of names, and still nothing will happen. Tomorrow they pick their bag and go to work and smash it and give their best to it. And if they come back and look at the review their day and see that there's something that went wrong, they would you were stupid today. You should have done this or done that. You should have done it this way or done it that way. And that's it. Instead of it becoming judgmental to them, but because they are looking at it from the angle of, okay, this thing is kind of trying to deviate me from my goal. I need to do everything possible to remain on track with my goal. They don't see it as judgmental or self-sabotaging, but rather they see it as self-cleansing, evaluating themselves to become better in whatever it is that they are doing. So doing self-evaluation, constructive evaluation of your progress towards your vision and your goal, it does not necessarily mean that you're judging yourself, or you're trying to talk yourself down. You're trying to be as sincere as possible to yourself, in alignment with where you truly want to be. And if you're not able to do it, then you will never ever be able to get to where you want to get in life. So the question is, how do you execute constructive evaluation? Reflect on what you did well. Start with what worked well. Praise yourself. Appreciate yourself. Hug yourself. Thank yourself. Gift yourself. And all that. It's part of the constructive. And that is what makes it constructive. And that is the reason why it is not judgmental on yourself. Because you start with what works. What was successful with the process. Then secondly, you reflect on what you can refine or improve on. You try to look at what is it that you need to refine or improve on. Do you know, as in those days when I was applying for scholarship, I was just doing it randomly. I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't have any mentor, for that matter. So I was just doing it anyhow. But what I realized was that after some months, when I go back to my previous emails, I will see all the blunders. Oh no. And I'll be like, this is the reason why this professor did not reply. Because the blunders were too They were too much. But one sure thing is, I never make the same blunder in the next email. Now, there are people that you just keep telling them the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And so you get tired of trying to coach them, you get tired of trying to guide them, you get tired of trying to help them because they are not able to reflect and refine on what they are hearing, what they are seeing, what is happening to them. But intentionally excellent people are able to listen, reflect, and make course correction. Draw out important lessons from each experience. Yeah. What are the lessons? Okay, I have failed in this particular thing. I didn't get it. So why didn't I get it? Why didn't I get it? Is it because I missed a particular item in the list of in my checklist? There's something I was supposed to include, I didn't include. Is it because I needed to? There's an area, excuse me, of my personal capacity that is still lagging behind that I need to improve on. Just ask yourself questions so that you can draw lessons on, you know, each of the experience you've had and how to improve with the next step or in the next step. Assess your role, the role of your commitment. It might just be that this thing is not working because you're not committed to. Remember when we started with commitment, your ability to stay true a particular process to the end, your ability to remain faithful to yourself first and fulfill the promise you make to yourself before you go out and start making promises to people. So were you committed to that vision, to that dream at that particular point? What is your attitude? What level of mental readiness did you have? How focused were you in relation to, having the kind of outcome that you were expecting? When you ask all these questions, the next thing is to target areas for improvement. It might be in your area of commitment, it might be in your attitude, it might be in your mental readiness, it might be in your focus, it might be in your positive image creation strategy and all that. So you need to now look for the areas that you need to improve and target those areas and start working on them. And then act upon the lessons. Act upon the lessons. Don't just stress yourself to go through those exercise, all the exercises that are listed in constructive evaluation, and they're not acting on what you've learned in the process of doing that. It doesn't make any sense. So let's go back to where we started from. Every high performer you know anywhere possesses a mindset and behavior that is directly related to these 7 elements: commitment, belief, focus, positive image, mental readiness, distraction control, and constructive evaluation. And again, I give credit to Terry Olick, who is the original creator of the Wheel of Excellence. But when I look at it, I agree with it 100% that if you want to be an intentionally excellent person, you must have these factors, these elements in your life. You must have them. If you don't have them, at one level or the other, all of them you need to have. Not necessarily at equal levels, but at one point or the other, at one level or the other, you need to have an entry into any of these. When I look at myself, I find some degrees of variation in all of these, but they are there. They're in one way or the other, consciously or subconsciously. I see myself, practice all these elements, and I can tell you they are helpful. They are helpful. Some of my friends I know who are excelling, the same is can be said of them as well. Every other person I know who is excelling, the same can be said of them. So you want to be that person that you're dreaming to be, you must be committed. You must believe in yourself. You must maintain your focus. Always create images that promote healthy mindset. Be mentally ready because things will be tough along the line. Learn to control distraction and always evaluate your progress. Always evaluate your progress. So, in closing, let's do a self assessment. One, am I committed enough to my dreams or future? These are the lessons. These are, as you leave this session today, these are the things or questions I want you to ask yourself. Because if you can find answers to them, there is nothing that will be strong enough to stop you. Am I committed enough to my dreams and future? Do I believe I can? So I do. Am I completely focused on my goal? What image do I have of myself, irrespective of what others think of me? Am I mentally ready for what is to come? How will I manage conflicting priorities? And am I ready to always be bold and tell myself the truth? If you can find answers to all of these, there is nothing that is going to be strong enough, or no one that is going to be strong enough to stop you from reaching your goal in life, whether it is in family, in career, in business, in sports, in arts, in ministry, whatever it is that you're doing, nothing will be strong enough to stop you if you can find answers to these questions. So I hope that this session today has been very helpful to you in one way or the other, and has put some, questions in your heart that you're going to leave this session today, trying to answer. And if that is the case, then I think that my goal for the session has been achieved. If you're able to ask yourself these questions, leaving this session today, then my goal for this session has been achieved. And I hope that you find urgent answers to those questions, find ways to navigate through them. If there's anything about the conversation that you want to talk about a little bit more, feel free to contact me, send me a DM through any of the channels where you're connected with me, and we can discuss and find ways to work together on any of those those questions that you want to answer. But in all things, I wish you all the best in your pursuit of excellence, and I want to thank you very much for joining me on today's Success Converge. Thanks very much for joining me on today's Success Converge. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your contribution. I see a lot of comments here from YouTube. Failure can be stressful and rejection can be stressful as well. Yes, failure can be stressful and rejection can be stressful. But no matter what happens, if you have the mental readiness, you will be able to scale through it without um, falling by the roadside. When your values are clear, your choice will be easy. Yep. When your values are clear, your choice will definitely be easy. And like Sam said at the beginning, fulfilling the commitment you make to yourself is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourself. So thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate you, and I pray that God will bless you. I pray that God will cause you to have the strength and the courage to pursue your dream, pursue your goal, and be the person that He's created you to be. That God will send the right people, right network, right energy, um, right resources into your life to help you to maximize your potential and be the high performer that God has created you to be. And I pray that your week and the rest of the month is blessed. Until I see you again in or on another edition of SuccessConverge, have a blessed rest of your day. Thanks very much and bye.